Hey, what's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate Tour Reviews. Well, Bocomal, I think that's how it's pronounced, Bocomal FR, has sent me some of their new shirts and pants. And this is kind of a fun one because they said, hey, why don't you test this out? You already did some of the flame resistant tests in the last video you did, which you want to check that one out. I'll put a link in the description for that one. Where basically I just use like a grinder to simulate, just some, usual issues where you have with, having some hot material near some pants that could cause it to possibly ignite, which the pants, of course, passed that test. They didn't even look like they had any, grinding dust getting near them or anything. But they sent me these new ones, and they said, hey, these are not only, flame resistant, but they are also water resistant and tear resistant. And they said, hey, we want you to use some knives and nails to test this out, as well as test out the water resistance. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. So I'm like, awesome, I will give this a shot here. So they sent me some of these new versions of their shirts and pants to test out, and I am really curious to see how these will do. Because of course you hear about stuff having like, flame resistance all the time. You hear about stuff having, tear resistance, but kind of all in one. I'm actually really curious to see what it's going to do there. So we're going to jump right into this and see really how these do. Now, of course, that material fabric is going to be a little bit different. It's going to feel, when you get waterproofing stuff, I've always felt like almost a bit like plasticky. And of course, that's going to have the same feel to this. It's going to have that very smooth feel because, of course, it's going to be water resistant. If it can't feel like really soft cotton, of course, that'll absorb water there. So that's going to make sense here. And I'm kind of curious what it says on the tag, what this is made from. Let's see here. Of course, it's flame resistant for protection of industrial personnel against short duration of thermal exposures from fire. That's in accordance with the NFPA 2112-2023. That's pretty awesome there. Let's see here. Do we have any other notes on here? I'm kind of curious what it is. 100% cotton, so that is good. Of course, it doesn't feel like cotton because, of course, it's got a lot of treatments to it, so that, of course, it makes sense there. But, of course, it is cotton. We, of course, have the fire protection standards, flash fire on there. Let's see if we got any other notes on here. We'll see just that fire-resistant clothing, which we know, of course, that works well. I tested that out already. These things do resist fire pretty well. Let's see if the shirt has anything different. The shirt, honestly, is exactly the same fabric as the pants. I mean, look at that. That's pretty dead on. Exactly the same there. The only complaint I had about these is that the sizing is kind of tricky. So I wear a 34 waist, and then I usually wear 32, 34 length, depending on the brand. I would say go a size shorter or a size smaller when you buy the pants. They came in, I felt like they were like a size 36 when they came in. So that's kind of my only complaint there, was they do run a bit large, depending on the size that you get. But they're very comfortable, though. I will say that. I do wear them for a lot of projects because they are relatively easy to clean, and they are just very comfortable. So, of course, we've got, let's see here, the usual flame resistance here, little sample fabric there, which, actually, I should just take this little sample fabric here and try to light this on fire. That'd actually be kind of cool there. Try to see if this thing will actually ignite, which I'm sure it won't. All this flame resistant stuff usually works really well. And they usually do a really good job at blocking out really anything that has anything with flame there. So we got something to test that out. We'll test it out quick, see how resistant this is to flame, and go from there. So I got one of these lighters off Temu, and it's one of those, I think what's called like plasma lighters, but it works really well. And this is, of course, the worst case scenario. You directly put a plasma lighter right on it. Let's see what happens here. I'm sure this will have some nice resistance there. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Did not ignite. Let's see here. Yeah, it's actually pretty solid resistance. So, of course, the worst case scenario here, we're not just seeing like a brief flame. We are trying to actively ignite this, and it is not wanting to go. So that is pretty sweet here. We just really try to get this thing to go. It's just singeing. It's not igniting. So that's what you want to see there. No real active, flame trying to get there. Let's try this one more time in this corner here. I mean, this is worst case scenario here. You can't get any worse than this, where it's trying to ignite, and nope, not going at all there. So not gonna get any worse case scenario than this, but luckily this fabric does not just, engulf in flames when it gets super, super hot. This will, of course, resist flame there. So good to know there. But this is still a good fabric for resisting any open flame there, because this thing lights up stuff really, really well, and then this is the absolute worst case scenario there. So perfect there. I'm really excited. They said, they actually told me, like, actually said, the words, try out some nails and knives to test this stuff out with, and that's what we want to see. So, I mean, bam, let's give this thing a shot here, because I am really curious to see, like, I want to test it. I'm not going to try to, like, cut this fabric. I'm sure you can cut the fabric. Every fabric's pretty much cuttable. So, I mean, if you're just walking around and you're just like, you're going to do one of those, that's kind of what's going to happen. You're going to rub up against something that's going to be sharp, and that's about it. That's kind of going to be, what I would expect and what I would think something that's going to be cut resistant is going to be. So let's see here. Can we get like anything to come up here? Let's see here. I just want to try to, like, how many times can I do this and not see? I mean, it's not even catching there, which is nice. It's kind of just like it's nicely going really smooth there. Okay, of course, there's no puncture resistance, but I'm just curious if I can get this fabric to even, like, rip or anything. Not really. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. I mean, any type of normal fabric you would get on this, you'd start getting some strands going. And let me grab a knife here. Really curious to see. I mean, this is a razor blade, but still. Nothing. That's actually pretty cool. So if you ever use the gloves, and I've got a bunch of them here, I use them for work all the time, cut-resistant gloves or cut-level gloves, these are about the same thing here, and they work really, really well. So this is basically what they're trying to do here is, I mean, this is a nice razor blade on here. It's not like pushing like a ton of force. I'm sure I can cut these. That's the point. I'm sure I can cut these if I really tried, but that cut resistance there is designed, of course, you scrape up against something, you accidentally hit something sharp. You don't want these pants to just start ripping like that super easy. Of course, if you're intentionally cutting them, like you actually take like a pair of scissors to these, I'm sure you can cut these really easily. But that unintentional cutting there of, rubbing against something sharp, I've had it happen plenty of times, on pairs of pants and shorts, when you're working somewhere and, oh no, you hit something sharp and it really tries to dig in there, on your pants, and it takes something out. Oh, there we go. Maybe right here is probably the best I'm going to get here. I got one little loop, a little loose there, after like intentionally dragging it over 4 screws and a board. So that's actually not bad at all for how well this thing is doing. It's really not catching anywhere either. That's part of what I think gives these pants a nice advantage is that, there's not really a lot of stuff to catch onto these pants. When you got a lot of stuff that catches, that's where you can start getting some of that rips to happen. And let's try out the shirt as well, too. I'm kind of curious to see here. Same fabric, and let's make sure it works exactly the same here. Let's find out. Of course, we got all this stuff in here. All the usual shirt stuff you got to take out. Nope. All right, let's go on like an arm here. Fabric is actually still thick. Like I can do this and it's not sharp on my hand. It's blocking out a lot of that sharpness there, which is nice. So that's doing a pretty good job at resisting, any type of cuts there. So that's pretty cool. I'm sure if I were to take any type of ordinary fabric and try that, it would definitely start, pulling out some of those threads, some of those strands. That's where you start getting the fabric, it starts coming apart there. All right, let's try out some water resistance here. That's always a fun one. When I did that Brunt jacket, I was really surprised to see how well that water resistance was working on some of these new items of clothing. Because I've seen that stuff years ago, where you have water resistance. Oh, nice. It's exactly the same as the Brunt stuff. Check that out. What is that word called? It's like hyper something, or something resists water. Look at that. Bam, perfect. That is awesome. That's exactly what you want to see right there. Look at this. All the water on there comes right out. There can be some disadvantages to this, of course. Of course, if you're working in a really hot temperature like I am, this can have some issues with sweat here, where it doesn't want to wick away sweat. And I can push this. yeah, look at that. I can push the water actually pretty nicely because this fabric just resists the water. I forget the actual term for that. There's a specific term for that where it's resistant to water. But yeah, look at that. Is it pulling a little bit of water right there? Nope, that's some grease I had on the table there that's pulling out. But that is pretty sweet there. So check this out again. I can just pour water anywhere on this, and it just runs right off. Very cool stuff here. I love working with this stuff where I get to test this kind of stuff out and actually see this stuff, you know, actually do what they advertise, which is pretty sweet. So right here, bam, it all just flings right off. Doesn't actually stay on the shirt at all. You can see right in here too, it's fully resisting that water. It just runs right off. And of course, you have that little bit of drops in there, which I say just, you know, flick it off and they'll fly right off. No big deal. So pretty sweet how this all works exactly. And, you know, Bocomal FR, this is some pretty cool stuff. Only complaint I've had with this stuff is, you know, watch the sizing. You might pick something up that's going to be a bit too large, and it might not fit. Let me try this stuff on, guys, and I'll let you know here in just like 2 seconds if this stuff fits me or not. Okay, I just tried them both on. The pants actually do fit nicely. A little baggy, but that's kind of just how the style is. Of course, when you have flame-resistant fabric, you don't want it to be, you know, very tight by any means at all. Shirt does fit me. The medium shirts are actually a medium shirt. I would say just watch the pants. I ordered a 34 last time. This time I ordered a 44, 32. Now they fit me, and now they're not too long. So definitely worth noting that if you usually buy like a 34 like I do, you're going to want to go one size shorter on the pants, and that should be good. But guys, thanks for watching. Always fun to do these reviews, our videos on Bocomal FR. And this was actually a pretty fun one to get to test out all this stuff here. You know, of course, the flame resistance, the tear resistance, and of course the water resistance. Cool to see this on all one piece of fabric that's got resistance to all three of these elements. So guys, thanks for watching. Take care, have a great day, and stay safe out there.